Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Ask the Expert. I love this show because it's all about those people that are really in the know, and they're all in the authors and speakers visibility playground. So I get to interact with them all the time. And it's an honor for them to come on this show and talk about what they know. And I have such a special guest today. You won't believe what you are going to learn. And I really hope you watch it all the way to the end of the show because she has so much great information about what's going on now, why it's going on, and what we are experiencing during what they call these challenging times. And I've known her for a number of years. I've read her books, and she is so in the know. And she's going to show you what we're going through on Earth from an entirely different perspective, one you may not even have thought of. So let's get moving, and then I'm going to bring this angel on to the show, and I know you are going to love it. See you in just a minute. And welcome back, everyone. I am so glad you're here with me. As I said, I have a very wonderful guest today. She is amazing. She's a two-time #1 Amazon international best-selling author, and she hosts and creates her own show called the Angel Healing House Radio TV show. And she's also a Reiki master and a teacher and an inspirational speaker and an angelic walk-in, and it's Angel Ariel. You are going to love her messaging because she's got something entirely new, and I've read her books. They're wonderful, and I think that you are going to have such a unique perspective on what's going on. So let me quickly introduce Claire Candy Howe.
Charlene.
Welcome, Candy. I'm glad you're here with us.
It's lovely to be with you again today, and thank you so much for having me on the show. The last name is Hoff, as in cough.
Thank you for correcting me. Hoff.
That's okay.
Claire Candy Hoff.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Candy, talk to us a little bit about what's going on and how you know these wonderful things that you're about to share.
Well, my journey began 17 years ago when I had what is called an angelic walk-in experience. Now, for those who do not know what that is, a walk-in happens as a result of a person on the earth plane, a soul in a human form, who is so traumatized and in such despair that they do not want to keep their contract of their life going anymore. They may not have realized that they wrote a contract, and they may not have realized that there are different exit points where we can get out of our contract. But the main point is that she was suicidal. She was anorexic. 2 of her suicide attempts failed. The third one certainly would have been the charm, but she just didn't want to be in her life. I, Angel Ariel, who is in Claire Candy's body, came to her about 2.5 years previously, before the walk-in experience on January 11th of 2003. And I said, please don't get rid of the body. It's so important for as many people to hold as much light as possible. You can go up to God with honors if you give permission, with 100% permission, for me to walk into the body and for you to go to God with honors. And then I will come in, I will take over your responsibilities, I will clean up your life physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in order for me to then be able to be of service to humanity. And I don't mean to, just push a plug, but I speak about this in my book, I Am an Angelic Walk-In, the autobiography of me, Angel Ariel. Within 9 months, I created heaven on earth for myself. I drew to myself my twin flame, and we met and married. We met on a Saturday, and 5 days later, he asked to marry me.
Wow.
2 months later, we were married on the beach in Noosa Heads in Queensland. But and then I've gone on to help other people create an angelically driven life for themselves by being able to experience heaven on earth. So that's how I come to know all of this. I work with a group of angels who I am their representative on the earth plane, as I am one of them, and we are called the Posse of Angels.
Wonderful. Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome.
And I've known Candy for a while, and I just really appreciate what it is she does. And her show is marvelous. If you have a chance, please be sure to find out about it. And she posted in the Authors and Speakers Visibility Playground, so it's easy to get to it there.
Thank you.
So Candy, tell us, what's happening right now? So many people are really, really confused. They're caught up in all of this stuff that's going on. And what is your posse of angels telling you?
Okay, the first thing is for us to realize that each and every one of us chose to be here on the earth plane at this time. I've had some clients say to me, I didn't sign up for this. And I said, yes, you did. Not only did you sign up for it, but you stood on your tippy toes and you excitedly put your hand in the air and said, I want to be here for this huge event that is going to happen on planet Earth. So we wrote in our contracts that, yes, we wanted to be here. And not all souls were chosen. There are, believe it or not, there are trillions of souls, and there are only a limited amount of bodies for them on the earth plane. And so you were one of the chosen ones to come back. And some people weren't strong enough. Some people didn't have the fortitude to come back and to see what is happening on planet Earth. So it's really important for people to understand that they contracted to be here at this time and that they have a very important purpose. And their purpose is not only to spread love and light, but to help others who are awakening at this time. I speak about this in my book, One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness. That's actually the prequel to my book, I Am an Angelic Walk-In, about our soul contracts and why we would choose to come back and see such awful things of contrast. So that's really probably the most important thing for people to realize, that they shouldn't blame anybody for being here. They shouldn't blame things. They shouldn't see themselves as a victim, because everyone, Charlene, everyone signed up for this. And that's the most important thing to know.
Is there any significance to those who are passing over and those who are staying here?
Well, we each write into our contract, and once again, I speak about this in One True Home. We each write when we want to exit the earth plane. There's no, I mean, I always laugh when, a celebrity will cross over and somebody will say, oh, they died so early, or they died too early. Nobody dies too early and nobody dies too late. When our time is over on this physical plane, as to what we contracted to do, the lessons that we needed to learn, and the lessons that we helped others to learn, or others helped us. It's a very symbiotic contract, that we're carrying out. Then we cross over. But there are a lot of people that are crossing over that are choosing by their.
Oh, we just lost Candy for a minute. Candy, we just lost you for a minute. Could you say that are choosing? Say that one more time.
Oh, the people are choosing to cross over because it may be just too much for them. Too much for them to realize the dark, satanic, Luciferian agenda that has been manipulating and controlling our world for eons of time. Now, I want to get into that.
Please
before we
do.
run out of time.
I think that's important.
It is very important for the spiritual community to understand. It was so important, and we have had 2 missions so far. The first mission was to wake ourselves up, and then the second mission was for us to help others to wake up. So we became the healing practitioners. We established the radio, the TV things. We wrote books for a wider audience, all of these things. Those were the 2 important missions. Okay. And we're about to, those that, accept the mission, step into our 3rd mission. Well, I'll speak about that in a little while. But those of us who were spreading love and light and positivity, the laws of attraction, the laws of allowance, the laws of cause and effect, all of those things, we did a wonderful job. But many still in the spiritual community don't understand that there is a dark, satanic, Luciferian agenda that has driven the world. It has kidnapped and enslaved our economy, our politics. It's poisoned our food through GMOs. It's poisoned our water. It's poisoned with fluoride, which actually calcifies our pineal gland. It shuts down our intuitive ability to think for ourselves. The medical community, which keeps us sick and hides alternative treatments, like the extraterrestrial technology that has med beds, that can restore our organs, that can reverse aging and bring the body back to complete health. All of this is hidden to keep us on a carousel of being sick in order to depopulate the world by this Luciferian elite. But that's why we came back. That's why we came back to thwart that darkness with the increased light on the planet. It's really important for people to be informed at this time. I've had a lot of clients say, la, 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 I don't want to look at that. I don't want to see children being sacrificed. I don't want to see, the sex trafficking, and I don't want to see organ harvesting of babies and drinking their blood. And I mean, who really does want to see that? Nobody wants to see that. But it's so important to be informed at this time, everyone. 2 videos, which I can really, really recommend, is one is called Out of Shadows. And it speaks about, and it references Operation Mockingbird. Do your own research. Research Operation Mockingbird. It was started by the CIA as a form of mind control, and that's why they started television to program us. Okay? And then they programmed us through TV. They made violence acceptable. They made gratuitous sex acceptable, through TV, through media. The manufactured media is only owned by about 6 people in the world, and it is all manufactured to divide and separate us. It's there to manipulate and control us. Please turn off the television. So one is Out of Shadows, and 2 is an extremely important documentary series called Fall Cabal. Cabal meaning the deep state or the dark. Do watch all of the 10 parts. It is deeply disturbing. It even more so because it's true, and but it is so important to be informed and to know what has been going on in in the majority, in very elite, moneyed people on the planet. I'm not saying all people that have money that have perpetuated this, but have kept this going for hundreds upon hundreds of years. It is rife through Hollywood. Many of us will be deeply disturbed because of the celebrities, the sports people, the movie stars who we've come to know and love that were involved in this, and indictments have been served, and and hopefully justice will be served on the planet. But this
You
is
know, Candy, what I think is a really sad situation and a big challenge is these video games that the kids are playing where they're just constantly shooting people and blowing people up. When they do that so regularly, it just becomes a habit. It's no wonder kids are shooting people.
Well, it's all been carefully constructed to desensitize us. Our education system has been taken over. You know, whether you call it God, Creator, Source,
Spirit.
Spirit, higher selves, our ability to connect with something greater outside of us has been completely erased from our education system or teachings or parents teaching children. And in every area of our lives, we have been separated from our source, which is our divinity. The posse of angels, and I want you to know that you are divine. Nothing can separate you from your divinity. And the video games, the gratuitous sex, the making, everything. Oh, it's okay. Everyone has opinion. It doesn't matter if they're, doing nefarious deeds or whatever, but let's laud them. Let's laud them because they're beautiful or they're a movie star or they're a celebrity or whatever. So this has been carefully orchestrated. We have been, as a humanity on planet Earth, we have been enslaved. And the revelations and the disclosures that we are seeing now is the beginning of the thawing of this dark iceberg that has held us frozen and paralyzed. And it's all coming out now. Why is it coming out now? Many people have said, Candy, why is it coming out now? It's because in 2020, we are going through that great awakening. One of the things that came out of the isolation and restriction is that we had time to slow down, and we had time to truly tune in and research what was going on.
Yes. Oh, we lost Candy for a minute. She'll be back, I'm sure. But I just want to say, I've been doing so many transformation treatments lately. People have been coming to me just regularly, and I'm constantly treating people to try and connect them again to that universal flow so that they're not so stressed, they're not having so much anxiety, and they can move forward in their business. It's been unbelievable.
The funny thing, it's interesting that you say that, because yes, I've seen a resurgence in my clients for the Reiki because they've been traumatized. They've been actually shut down because of the experiences that they've seen, especially when they didn't know all of this was going on, sex trafficking, the sacrifices, all of these things. In order to bring their body back to peace and tranquility so that they could have that connection to source again. But I've had a resurgence in people studying Reiki with me to empower them and give them the tools to live that divine connection in their lives. So it's amazing. Now, that's another thing that I want to speak about, which is really important. Let me just go back here. So there's just so much going on. How people can really navigate through this time.
That was my next question. How do they handle it? Once they know all this, what do they do with it?
I must be psychic. So, so the next thing that we could, because the thing about the posse of angels and I, it's not that we hide our head in the sand, but we're really proactive as to what people can do. I've had so many people come to me stressed out, so much in worry and fear. And I found out that about 15 to 20% of the time was spent on doing things that brought them joy, that they were doing things that were allowing them to be to allow them to create, which is our abundance, and be in creative abundance. And 75 to 80% of the time, 85% of the time, they were watching the news. And they were sharing social posts on social media that were talking about how bad things are.
Right.
And I said, I've got a great recipe for you. I said, you've got homework. 85% of the time, I want you to sit out in the sun, talk to the hummingbirds. I said, convene with nature. I said, do something. And this eclipse coming up, by the way, I just remembered, is a great time, as it's going to open up our creativity. The arts, music, film, writing, painting, those things are being reborn in us as if we're being reconnected. So if you do these things, watch funny movies if you don't think you're creative or something, giggle, wiggle, laugh, get that vibrational frequency inside of you of happiness, because it speaks the same language as the universe. You may be asking for things, but you're speaking Dutch and the universe is speaking Chinese. You might as well be speaking a different language. The universe speaks joy. So bring more joy into your life.
And be grateful that the sun came up in the morning.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, it came up on time. If it doesn't come up on time for 18 days, we're all done. We just got to be grateful to see the sun. That's a biggie.
That's a huge one. So, and actually, from today, and actually yesterday until the 7th, many people don't know that we're in the Sirius gateway. The planetary system Sirius. It's Sirius, not the other Sirius. This is our spiritual sun, and this is helping us to connect even further with this heralding of this magical time to connect with our spirituality. So another thing that I can highly recommend that people do at this time, people are talking about the golden age of truth, peace, and prosperity. They're speaking about a new earth. Well, if we're seeing the crumbling of the old systems and structures on the planet, then what's the alternative? The alternative is the earth, Mother Gaia, has been waiting for you and each one of us to visualize and imagine and dream into reality what we want. What does the new earth look like for you? Okay, I'll give you for instance. In my new earth, there's food, there's housing, and there's clean water for everybody. In my new earth, there are alternative treatments that have been hidden for us, like those med beds, that extraterrestrial technology. I don't call them aliens because, quite frankly, I wouldn't want anybody to call me an alien. They're smarter than us, and
Big time, yes.
Deflected. Not all aliens are grays and reptilians. The majority are not. And they have deflected nuclear bombs from going off, from us killing ourselves. So those med beds that restore our organs and also reverse aging, I'll be the first one in it.
Me too. I'm right behind you.
I'm gonna link arms and go together, Shirley. I'm gonna be 65 in October, and I can't wait. Okay,
yeah.
So.
We lost her again for a second.
New world, Tesla's free energy is there for everybody.
I agree with you. I think that energy is very, very important, and it can be applied even for those who are in the most oblique places where there's nothing. They can have energy with solar panels or something like that, or windmills, anything. Yes. They don't have to go without.
So one of the most important things that we can do now that we're in this Sirius gateway is to connect with the spiritual inside of us. And what we're doing is now we're between two worlds. So dream and envision the world that you want to live in, because we're between two worlds at the moment, and we're in the womb, a lot of people say, and we're going through the birth canal to be birthed into this new world. We're between the third world, which is crumbling. We can see the dark crumbling, and they're trying to come up with different things to keep a hold on the Antifa, the privately funded terrorist organization that planned that George Floyd thing. Whether he died or did not die, Spirit is not saying, but that's not the point. It was all planned in order to divide and separate and bring the world back to fear, because so much of the world was opening up after the restrictions and the falsified information about the rates of the COVID that were happening on the planet. Not that they won't grab for that again, but we're seeing the crumbling of the old. And before we before we start creating and building the new world as masters on the planet, each one of us. Being a master does not mean that you're superior. Being a master means you've mastered yourself. You're no longer triggered by your emotions. You live in peace and harmony and compassion. You live in a deep knowing that you are part. I am Charlene. She is me. There is no difference. This funny little meat suit that we're in and the color of it or the faith that we have, the belief system, does not separate us. We can have different opinions, but we are all in this together. And stop watching the news, because the news is there to separate, divide us, keep us in control.
And I was telling Candy,
those of us that have,
you're fading out again. So I was telling Candy earlier that since the coronavirus hit, I was watching the news constantly, and I didn't realize how it was affecting me, because I got really despondent and depressed. So I had to think seriously about what I was doing. So if you feel despondent or depressed, think about how much news you're watching. That's a problem. And just back it away from it. You won't believe, I only allow myself a half an hour a day. That's it. And not before I go to bed. So I have to be very conscientious about that. And I'm suggesting that all of you do that too, because if you are watching the news all the time because you have really not a lot else to do, then it's time to get going with your business, get going with your life, get going with anything other than that. And you'll find that your whole behavior and attitude will shift for the better. Your business will get better, your life will get better, your relationships will get better, because you won't be talking about what the news is talking about. We don't need to know everything that's going on in the world, right, Candy?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. So there's that part of it. Then there's the other part that we were programmed to find our identity outside of ourselves, instead of knowing that we're divine. And I'll tell you from an angel's point of view, I'll tell you the 4 gifts that we were gifted and blessed while we were waiting on the platform, which I speak about in my book, One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness. While we were standing on the platform, before we crossed back into these physical bodies as babies usually, but I didn't. I came in Candy's body as a grown-up, so that I wouldn't have to start over from a baby, is 1, you are more divinely cherished, adored, guided, and protected by angels and spirit guides than you can possibly imagine. 2 is that you are abundant. You have pure potential inside of you, and you have all the tools you need to do whatever it is that you wish to do. And then we're in a co-creative dance with spirit. And so spirit will then, once you show a mustard seed of faith and take inspired action towards something, then tenfold will come in to help you. Signs and messages, the people and opportunities. The 3rd one is that you're always where you're meant to be. If you weren't meant to be there, spirit can't interfere with free will, but they can sure as heck put up blockages for you not to be there. And I know this because I've done this before.
Me too.
And the fourth is everything happens in divine timing. It doesn't happen in your timing, because you can't see the full picture. And once we really have mastered these, then we become masters on planet Earth. And what we are doing now is, remember that I have been on this path and only incarnated 17 years ago. There are lots of people that have been on this, working towards this journey, the 3rd part of our journey, which is now that we've mastered ourselves and come home to ourselves, we are going to then go on to help those that have just recently shifted.
Mm-hmm.
They are so hungry for spiritual knowledge and spiritual direction. But might I add here, there have been a lot of spiritual teachers in the last 10, 20, 30 years who were very good at talking the talk, but they did not practice it in their lives. These people who are waking up now can discern those who are just a talking head on a stick teaching others,
Yes.
and they will look to see if they are walking the walk and practicing it in their lives. And that is the difference.
Candy, I'm so glad that you were on the show today and that you've given us all this fabulous information. How can people I already put your website up, but I want you to talk to people about what you have to offer them if they want to awaken or if they've already awakened and they want to take that next step. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. I offer a very in-depth 2-hour, not any less than that, 2-hour intuitive counseling session where we look at your life through an angel's perspective, a higher perspective. We go into the Akashic records to see why you wrote certain people to be in your lives, to see why certain events had to happen in order for you to learn your lessons. And most of the time, those lessons were learned in hardship, adversity, and contrast for you to.
So she's right. It was in controversy, hard experiences as child,
yes,
as adults, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's the first part of the session. The next is a Reiki healing, which brings the body. There is so much research now and Reiki is used in Johns Hopkins, it's used in Sloan Kettering, it's used in cancer centers. It's become accepted because it lifts pain off the body, it brings the body back to peace and tranquility, and it boosts the immune system so the body can remember how to heal itself. It's extraordinary.
Can you do that from a distance, Candy?
Absolutely. I have clients.
I just want everybody to know that.
Yes, all over the world, and it can be done distant healing. And also you get an angel tarot reading from myself as representative of this group, the Posse of Angels, where we get channeled messages directly from God and the angels, how you can use practical tools it's not fortune telling, it's how you can proactively, joyfully, abundantly, and enthusiastically recapture and reconnect to your divine source to live heaven on earth. And that's included in 2-hour session. Now, they're normally $400, but as a gift to this session, everyone who mentions this program can get $50 off. And I'm currently taking bookings and prepayment for those sessions in the month of July.
Awesome, Candy. Thank you so much for being with us. You've just been a wealth of information. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shirley. God bless you. Take care. Lots
Blessings
of love.
to you too.
Bye.
And thank you everyone for joining us today. You know, if you really want to move forward in your life, please reach out to Claire Candy Hoff. And as she said, be sure and mention that you saw her on Ask the Expert and you will get that $50 discount. We all use that nowadays, right? So really think about what she said. Watch the movies that she suggested. Fall Cabal was one of them, and Out of Shadows was the other. And I have another one for you called 13th, 13th. I watched that the other day, and it talks about the history of the Black evolution. And I learned so much from that. Another one that's very hard to watch, but so educational. So educate yourself on what's really going on in the world so that you can make an impact in a way that's really going to make a difference in your awakening. And remember what Candy said, you chose to be here now. You are here for a reason. So join us in making a difference in the world. Thanks so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next Friday on Ask the Expert.